When Nikola Tesla was already over 80 years old, a grand dinner was held in his honor in New York. While the world celebrated this brilliant physicist for all his groundbreaking inventions, he turned to the audience saying, "Let me tell you where I get my ideas. Every night, always at the same time, I do the following. Are you ready to learn this incredible secret behind Nikola Tesla's genius? To dive into a world beyond the limits of your imagination that will lead you straight to a hidden universal truth? Then simply hit the like and subscribe buttons and stay tuned until the end." Mysterious forces. One thing up front, the theories and assumptions we're about to show you are anything but uncontroversial. That's exactly why it's important that we approach this topic as unbiased and open-minded as possible, because only those who break the shackles of everyday life and leave the limits of their thought horizons behind them are capable of realizing their full potential. So let's start with a fundamental organ that each of us possesses, the brain. If one follows the convictions from the somewhat more alternative circles, the brain has nothing at all to do with our personal creativity. What is all too often referred to as the thinking apparatus actually performs only one task. It controls the physical mechanisms, the electrical impulses sent by the nerves to the muscles so that we can walk, run, and climb. The brain exclusively controls the muscles of the body, the movements, whether it is a fleeting blink of an eye or swallowing water. Assuming that this, let's say, self-confident hypothesis actually corresponds to reality, and that the brain is nothing more than a mechanical muscle motor, how then do our imagination, our creativity, and our ideas, which sometimes just bubble out of us, come about? Well, we have no idea. Thus, the origin of our mental perceptions and thoughts still embodies the great unknown. Everything what we know in this respect, or believe to know, has nothing to do with the brain. The gray mass in our heads does not give us any inspiration. It devotes itself solely to the purely physical processes. But how is that possible at all? How then did the great poets and thinkers of history manage to compose their groundbreaking works that remain with us to this day? How did these stirring compositions come into being, if not in the minds of Mozart, Beethoven, and company? Well, the answer we get to this question seems both fascinating and puzzling. If our thoughts, visions, and fantasies don't originate in our brains, then they must come from outside. The origin of inspiration. In this regard, the little word overshadowed is often used. The corresponding basic assumption implies that we are overshadowed by some kind of higher intelligence in the universe. Something is out there feeding us with information, something we try to explain with the term inspiration. Now, the fact is that some people are more receptive to external inspiration than others. They can compose beautiful songs, craft breathtaking works of art, write gripping novels, construct rockets, all the extraordinary things that command our deepest respect. When we listen to the works of the great composers, we can witness with our own ears that their creators were inspired. They did not simply copy the appropriate notes from a book. They did not randomly try notes before getting a coherent melody. No, such achievements possess a methodical, mathematical background, a deep understanding of creation. Some people take the thought process a bit further. Whoever creates something is in harmony with the universe and follows, often without knowing it, an occult, yet real science. However, the core of this field does not consist of dry formulas and bulky technical texts, but of vibrations and rhythms. It is well known that music has the potential to change entire nations. It inspires, moves, and mobilizes the masses, and all because it follows a fixed mathematical logic. We can already see how much melodies influence us just by thinking about the popular Hollywood blockbusters. When something evil or threatening is about to happen in a movie, the scenes are always accompanied by the corresponding sounds. The same goes for funny moments, for the hero's triumphant victory, for the romantic moment when the two protagonists finally kiss and fall into each other's arms. If you like, our minds are thus programmed to some extent in this way. We are guided to feel exactly the emotions that the film wants to convey to us at that moment. With this example, the thesis that inspiration does not originate in our brain but comes from the outside seems a bit more comprehensible. a higher power. Some people believe that the human brain is a kind of computer, a living computer that is wired to the rest of the body through nerve pathways and blood vessels. With the help of this internal network, the brain is able to transmit the appropriate messages to the desired regions of the body. But if our brain is a computer, what is it about the divine power that so many people believe? Well, for lack of a better term and following the computer example, this higher something is called a kind of Wi-Fi. So there may be 100 computers in the same room, but they are all connected to the same Wi-Fi. 100 computers can do 100 different things, and yet they all have the same source of inspiration that makes this possible in the first place. To take a step back from this technical metaphor, something is determining our destiny. Something out there is directing our thoughts along certain lines. However, this is a universal law that is by no means limited to humans. Let us just think of the large flocks of birds that we have all seen in the sky. While hundreds of birds fly in a fascinating formation in the same direction, there are moments when all the birds turn around at the same moment and take a different course. But how do birds actually know when it is time to change direction? This is a phenomenon that we can marvel at not only in the sky, but also in the water. Gigantic schools of fish that move as smoothly as if they shared a coherent brain. But how is this possible? For the alternative minds, the answer to this question is obvious. These animal examples impressively demonstrate to us how the brains of all living things are bound to a higher power, which is intangible at first glance. Thus, the planets, the moon, and the sun would possess a direct influence on our brain. Each celestial body has its own resonant frequency, and also the planetary and stellar constellation that prevailed at the time of our birth would significantly predetermine our individual development. The influence of the universe. That the sun played a significant factor in the unfolding of earthly life is undisputed. And also the influence of the moon is not to be rejected at all from the hand. It is nevertheless considerably involved in the change of ebb and flow. A circumstance which is to be transferred also to humans. Thus, many of us knowing the agonizing feeling of simply not being able to fall asleep on full moon nights. Some even feel physically ill or decidedly restless when the moon disk shines in its full glory in the night sky. But that's not all. If you follow the alternative circles, the lunaforce is even so great that it affects our blood and our brain. However, the vibrations in our mind are not only subject to the moon, but also to the sun, Jupiter, and all other celestial bodies. While women are said to be in direct connection with Venus, Mars takes over this role in the case of men. Tesla's secret. When Nikola Tesla was an old man of over 80, he attended a large dinner party held in his honor in New York. While the other attendees had originally come to award the genius inventor for his revolutionary achievements, Tesla turned to the guests during the course of the evening and revealed something that left his listeners completely blindsided. He said, "I want to tell them where I get my ideas. Every evening, always at the same time, I do the following. Before I go to bed, I put a notepad and pen on my nightstand, and every morning when I wake up, there is something written on the pad. Someone comes into my room every night and writes down an idea for a new invention. When I get up, everything is ready. All I have to do is go to my lab and follow the instructions. This is how I invented the radio and alternating current." But how do we have to understand this story? Does it mean that every night a genius researcher sneaked into Tesla's room to write down his technological visions? Or was it Tesla himself who put the groundbreaking concepts on paper when he was in a trance-like state of complete inspiration? Basically, we know that Tesla suffered from visions throughout his life that would commonly be referred to as hallucinations. For example, the physicist kept seeing strange flashes of light. As soon as someone near Tesla mentioned an object, he saw it so vividly in front of his eyes that he did not know whether it was real or only imagined. Frequently, however, the flashes of light were accompanied by images that the inventor had never seen before. Even the first design for the alternating current motor is said to have sprung from a literal flash of inspiration. That Nikola Tesla's horizons extended far beyond his scientific experiments is proven by the following world-famous quote, with which we would like to conclude today's post. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And with that, thanks for watching. Feel very welcome to leave us a thumbs up and a subscription to support us for free while staying up to date. What do you think about the alternative beliefs and worldviews we've introduced you to today? And how do you think we should interpret Tesla's narrative?